Africa is the richest continent on earth, yet it houses one of the poorest human beings alive. What has gone wrong?
What has gone wrong has been the brainwashing. From 1500, slave trade began. When slavery began in the 1500s, Africans had their own economy. They had their own footprints of production. But the slave trade actually came into action with the idea of corrupting the African leaders. And that process led us to a level where now we had to, we lost our technology. The interaction during slave trade was very unfair, so much that brought the destruction of the spirits. And eventually what happened was, by the time we were banishing the slave trade through the likes of William Wilberforce, those people who spoke against it, we had already experienced these damages. After slave trade, we quickly went into colonialism. The colonialism that started now, it even ramped up brainwashing of an African mind. They brought in colonial education, not meant to make you productive, but meant to make you an educated slave who would just be using what they produce. First, they used Africans to produce whatever they produced, and they brought an education system that now paralyzed all production in Africa. And we continued from that time into independence in the 1950s, late 50s to 1960s. The independence we were getting, we had already been destroyed. Those leaders who gave us independence, they had not even witnessed some of the things that we underwent through that made us to be who we are. So they never revisited the lost values. And from 1964 up to today, these are the same people who have now converted from colonial masters into neo-colonialists, who are now investors. They now come as investors. This is why you hear, when an investor is here, all of them, be it the States, United States of America, be it Europe, they are all always supporting those people, because those systems are the systems through which those institutions and those countries benefit. So from that time up to today, we as Africans have never undertaken an introspection to look back and find our lost values, rediscover our lost values. So the process is now happening. It takes slow, but I'm sure in most of these countries, we are undergoing this self-realization, taking a new look at ourselves and say, we cannot continue in this way. This is why we are seeing so many leaders now taking the African into self-sustainability direction, where we should be able to do our own things. The idea that we should just be buying from foreigners, the idea that we cannot do anything because we don't have money, is not a real idea. It's a lie. The same way lies have been peddled and repeated, and people accept them as truths. For instance, we know that Europeans didn't come with money in Africa to do slave trade. No one was given any money. They came with mirrors. They came with so many things, so many ornaments that actually are not money. They are just made ornaments. Mirrors, guns, those were just made things. They came and traded with that. In exchange for that, they got so many natural resources. They got slaves and so on and so forth. So today, for a person to believe strongly that for us to develop, we need money from IMF or from America, it really doesn't make sense. A normal person would ask himself, what about America? Where did they get the money? Did they find bags of money sat in America for them to develop? What about Europe? Did they find all that? The answer is categorical no. They had to work out products. And with those products, they got what they want. Because money is just a medium of exchange. It's not a product in itself. This is why we shouldn't be buying into such kind of lies like government should not participate in business. It should just be watching. The people who tell us that they themselves used slave labor For a long time, from 1500 to 1800, in the UK, in Western countries, in America, they used slave labor free of charge to amass wealth